Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. I come back with that second video just to make you think. Now, basically, of course, I did a video a couple weekends ago about how powerful, of course, Hollywood is and how it changes the mind. Also had done with Malcolm X, how you can change a person's mind through television. Basically, of course, to the third eye of the consciousness. Now, guys, we're going to go over Yeet Man 4, the finale. Now, basically, we have Yeet Man gets called by Bruce Lee to come to America because, of course, he's trying to start a school, teach, and of course, we know that is a true story. That's the story behind Bruce Lee. Now, of course, his son gets kicked out of school, and he wants to move his son abroad. So the fact is that he has to go through Master Chi. Master Chi does not like Bruce Lee because, of course, he doesn't want the Western world being taught, of course, martial arts. Of course, Yeet Man has no problems with that. Now, basically, he says that Master Chi tells him, "Hey, look, you don't know how the Western world is." Basically, the white man, and this is the point where the reason why I did this video. Because what they're doing is, of course, the Hegelian dialectic. Now, Master Chi tells Yeet Man, you offer them rice, they'll betray you. Same way, of course, the Indian story, look, offer to feed you, and then you turn around and kill us. So the fact is that basically he goes into saying, tell Yeet Man, I'm not going to recommend you, for your kid to come over here. So what the friend does, the friend goes to the white man, asks him for the recommendation. Of course, the white man says, hey, the legal aliens, the only reason why I talk to you is because of your association. Now, of course, he then says that not all Chinese are criminals. Now, guys, when has Chinese ever been projected as criminals? That's always been black people. So what they're doing is that they're replacing the black man with the Chinese man. I need for y'all to wake up and get the story that they're creating in this. So you have to remember that in America, okay, we're just watching it as a movie, but the fact is that if you're over in China, you're actually taking this serious of how the white man treats the Chinese and how it treats everybody else. So that's the narrative that they're bringing. Now, basically, of course, they go to the scene where, of course, we have Bruce Lee doing the 1-inch punch. Of course, that's, of course, true story. So I love this movie is wonderful because basically they took the true story of Bruce Lee and brought it into the real life story of Yeet Man. Of course, the Wing Chun who taught Bruce Lee. But of course, they're sitting at the table. Bruce Lee and the gentlemen in the military are sitting at the table. Of course, they want to bring Kung Fu to the actual military. Now, of course, basically you have the white military sergeant that doesn't want it. Now, but basically before that scene, we have the young white girl fighting with the Chinese girl. Now, of course, it's a deep scene that goes on there because basically she calls her a yellow monkey. And then she basically says, go back to China. Same things they call black people. Monkeys, go back to Africa. It's the same thing. And then, of course, she comes back and say, look, you're an immigrant too. This was the indigenous people's land, the Indian people's land, and you stole it. So remember, guys, this is what they're teaching. Remember, this film is going to reach billions of people over in China. I just need for you to understand the narrative that they're changing people's mindsets, but also making the white man the enemy. And we know in America, the white man owns nothing. Especially if you read my book, you understand that. But going into getting on the bus where Yeet Man and the young lady, they're sitting on a bus, and of course he looks at his hand, and his hand is bad because he got hit in the gate. And of course she tells him she has a herbal ointment at home, not no drugs that you get off the counter. She has a herb that can heal that. And the same thing when the movie first starts off, it has a pharmacy sign. And basically you see herbs and things like that, not these medicines, of course, that they're pushing on us. Now, of course, on the bus, she also says her dad founded the Chinese benevolent association just so they could protect the Chinese. Now, the fact is that basically they go into the scene with her and her father. And basically, of course, she got kicked out of school. They cut her hair. And the fact is that, well, basically she was fighting. And they cut her hair because she had won, of course, the cheerleading role. Now, he's speaking to Yeet Man, Master Chi. And he tells him that the white man is the devil. Now, of course, you only heard that from, of course, black people. But now, basically, you have the Chinese man calling the white man the devil. Now, of course, moving over to the fight scenes, Master Chi gets beat up by the sergeant. And then, of course, Yeet Man comes, defends him, beats him, and wins the fight. But, guys, I just want to make sure that you understand the psychological message that was sent in this movie. It was so powerful. Because basically what they did was they took the black man out the picture that's normally in there, and they put the Chinese man there. Everything, he's supposed to be the criminal. He's the outsider. All this, and they basically took the black man's story and put the Chinese man in it. And it's like I said, billions of people are going to see this. And the fact is that the white man looks as the enemy inside of America, when we know, of course, white people, the Irish that's inside the United States, own nothing. Of course, everything is created, of course, owned by foreigners. And of course, they are not white and they are not Irish. So, but the fact that I just wanted to go over the narrative that they were pushing in this movie. And then also, guys, I have a couple of videos about Bruce Lee, of course, his famous 1 and 6 inch punch. And then also, of course, the fight that he had in order to bring the Chinese martial arts over into the United States, where he had to fight in order to do that. And of course, he won, but he didn't beat the guy fast enough, so he went and practiced even more. So that's even crazier. But guys, that's all I have for you, and you have a wonderful day.
Chinese arts, which is Wing Chun. And then everyone knows about the fight in 1964 in Oakland.
There's the famous story about how he was challenged by the Chinese community in Oakland, and he had to defend the right to teach his art to non-Chinese people.
You and this entire society are useless in this country. You are archaic. And you're a fool.
And I remember so clearly in my mind's eye, Bruce sitting on the steps in the back of the studio with his head in his hands.
And she said, "What's the matter?"
That was the fight that he realized the classical arts were not working for him. And he should have been able to put that guy down much sooner.
Bruce Lee has a fight with the guy and he doesn't beat him fast enough, so he goes off to rethink it all. And these tales all have the structure of myth and fantasy.
We are going to talk about Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch. The 1-inch punch is a punching technique performed at a range of 0 to 1 inch. It is originally a punching exercise from Wing Chun, which known as explosive force movement. Bruce Lee learned this technique from his Wing Chun training in Hong Kong, and later on he redesigned it. He improved the technique to increase the punching power and make it more effective. In 1967 Long Beach International Karate Championships, Bruce Lee showed the 1-inch punch to the world in front of television for the first time. He explains the 1-inch punch is quantitatively using a force gauge. As you can see from the footage here, Bruce Lee invited Joe Louis on stage to punch on the guy on the left. The guy is about 6 foot tall and he just slightly go backward. Then Bruce Lee demonstrates the 6-inch punch on the same guy. Look at the footage here. Still need more words? Bruce Lee invited Joe Louis on stage again to demonstrate the real 1-inch punch. Again, look at the footage here. Still need more words? Joe Louis was born in 1944. He was an American kickboxer and has twice been voted the greatest fighter in karate history. He has won a number of karate tournaments and often considered as the greatest karate fighter of all time. So, what do you think after watching the footage of Bruce Lee's one-inch punch? Not to forget that the person who takes the punch is a world heavyweight karate champion.